Getting in, Charlie. Go right other side. That's it. Slightly behind, like Charlie is. That's it. We just direct. Oh, yeah.
I think Walt just went down below. He went down below.
Oh, yes, yeah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Jacob. Happy birthday to you.
That's what's going to be happening at Hooters where Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, that was it.
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury, what's that?
What you all can see then. Alligators, crocodiles, tigers, lions, trees, animals, are coming down the right.
Which good? Which good? Go check it out.
Sante's on, I think you ordered. John Burger. My name is Sebastian. I'll be your safari guide out here today in the Harambe Wildlife Preserve. A couple of reminders before you head on out there. Make sure to keep your hands, arms, legs, and feet inside the trunk and to remain fully seated at all times. It's for your safety as well as the safety of the animals out there. And as we head on out to go see those animals, we're visiting them in their home. So we do want to make sure to be respectful of them at all times. That means no calling out to them, yelling, whistling, making animal noises, anything like that. We get those really great views of them when they feel safe and respected around us, so we'll all do our part towards it. And we're going to be starting off here in just another moment or so, and when we do, we're going to be in the Little Ituri Forest. The animals in Ituri can be a little bit shyer. They like to use that dense foliage we'll be driving past out here to hide out in. It's their main form of defense against predators, just to kind of disguise themselves out here. We can still get pretty lucky though, so we'll see what we find. It's like just about as soon as we enter the reserve, we'll start seeing some of these bongos over there. It's gonna be those rust-colored ones there. They've got those really pretty curved horns coming up. There's also an okapi out on that further right, peeking out of those bushes. The okapi's that brown one with those striped legs on her. There's actually two. There's one sitting down by the bushes too. Because of the coloring on the okapi's legs, people sometimes think they're related to zebra, but they are actually the only living relative of the giraffe. We know that because of the shape of their skull, among some other things. For example, they both have what's called a prehensile tongue. Just means they can grab and grasp with their tongues like we humans do with our fingers and with our hands. I noticed that the bongos down the left, as well as the greater kudu you might have seen, the big tan ones are a little further back hiding in the bushes. They also had stripes on their back and on their torso, just like the okapi's legs. And it serves the same purpose on all three of them. Stripes just kind of mimics what the sunlight looks like as it filters through the trees and the bamboo, so they can blend right in, stay a little bit safer and a little more hidden away from any of those predators that might be lurking around the forest somewhere. And those okapis really are very, very shy animals. They're actually so shy it's pretty difficult to keep track of how many of them are left out in the wild. We know they're endangered. The main threat they face is habitat losses. The rainforests of the Congo where they live are destroyed. But when those researchers and conservationists head on out, trying to get a more accurate count of that population, they hide themselves away so completely, we're left not knowing much more than when we started. And just before we leave the forest here, it's a pair of saddle-billed storks out there kind of on either side of that big tree stump, those black and white birds. They're actually both sitting down right now, which makes it a little harder to tell how big they are. But they are actually the tallest stork in Africa. They usually average about 5 feet tall. It just makes it easier for them to make their way through the waters of the rainforest out there. And we're going to keep making our way through here. Head on out towards the Safi River. The animals in Safi, they like to hang out in the water, around the water. Tends to be a little cooler for them out there, so that's where we'll be looking. So we come on down this hill, those big white birds out on the island, and also right down by the shore, some pink-backed pelicans. They have a wingspan of about 9 feet long or so just about as wide as that canopy that's over your heads right now. And there's actually also a hippo, right by where those 2 big logs are sticking out the water. There's 2 of them, you can see them peeking out, and then there's some on the other side of the river as well. So we've got hippos on either side of us. This is how we usually see the hippos, just a bit of those backs and those heads coming out the water. Sometimes, honestly, all we see is just sort of shadows lurking under the surface or those bubbles of theirs coming up. They spend most of their days fully submerged. Only have to come out to breathe every 5 to 8 minutes or so. And even with all that time hippos spend underwater, they don't even really swim. They'll kind of glide for short distances, but mostly they just sink down to the bottom of the riverbed and walk or run there as needed. So it's pretty easy for them to honestly just disappear right into those deeper and murkier waters at times. As we cross this bridge up ahead here, we'll also see some Nile crocodiles. There's a few out on the shore. Might also see some laying really still out in the water. That is the main way crocodiles like those hunt. They will lay out there for hours at a time. So they look a little more like driftwood, sunken logs, anything like that. Then their prey just sort of wanders on past and doesn't see where it is those crocodiles are hiding out. They are ambush predators in that regard, so they like to sit around, wait for their food, their prey to come to them, and just kind of exert as little energy as possible during that whole process. They can be pretty patient because they have really slow metabolisms. They can actually go months at a time without eating and be perfectly fine. Though they do tend to prefer about 1 big meal a week, during which they'll eat up to half their body weight in just 1 sitting. Yeah, we're gonna keep making our way through here. Head on out towards the savannah, which is where we'll hopefully see some of those really famous safari animals we're probably looking forward to. As we come on down here, I am sure you can already see some of those animals scattered along out there, or way down on the other side of the fields. If you do see something and I don't mention it right away, it's very, very likely just because we're going to pull up a little bit closer to it as we keep driving. So, of course, feel free to enjoy any and all of those views as soon as you spot them. But again, don't worry too much if I don't mention something right away. Just means we'll end up closer to it.
I saw a zebra.
This might be as far as we make it for a moment here. There's a couple of zebras out over there. You can probably already see a little bit of them peeking out. If not, again, don't worry. We will be getting a whole lot closer in just a bit.
What kind of zebra? Can you see the
We need to watch it.
This Bessie says there's a couple of African painted dogs actually up and about right now, which makes them way easier to see than usual. There's one in a little pool towards the back there, looks like, and then there's this one here. He's very wet. He looks very matted down, but usually their tails are way fluffier. They're really cute. They look a lot like domestic dogs, kind of like big shepherding dogs you might have back home. Definitely wild animals though. African painted dogs are some of the most successful hunters of any animal in the wild, with success rates even higher than your average lion. They work all together as a pack to chase their prey to exhaustion, and very few animals can outrun those dogs working together as a team like that. Though also coming up here, there is a trio of sable antelopes. They are sitting, laying kind of right at the base of that hill. They've got those long, thin horns, kind of curves towards their body. The way those horns curves towards them discourages predators from trying to jump on them, catch them by surprise, anything like that. Gives them a weapon to fight back with as well if they need to. Sables like those have actually been known to take down predators as big and tough as lions and other big cats like that out in the wild. They are pretty feisty, and when faced with that fight or flight response, they basically always choose to fight back. And we're gonna get closer to those zebras that we saw earlier. There's also a whole bunch more animals up around the corner over there, but we'll start off with those zebras. Now, it's gonna be a whole lot easier to tell on the adults for obvious reasons, but along their neck, their throat area, they've got kind of a loose flap of skin there, and it's called a dewlap. Hartman's Mountain zebras are the only kind of zebra with a dewlap like that, so it's one of the ways you can tell which ones we're looking at here. And I did just see that baby kind of walk right into the bushes, so we'll see if maybe it's still visible. You can see him kind of peeking out just a little bit there, right at the edge of the bushes. It's very cute, maybe 2 months old if even that. It's all legs. They're really, really cute when they're first born. So you might see actually a little bit better as we keep going forward there, just depending on where baby ends up headed to. But also, of course, there's some wildebeest down over there. There's some at the top of the hill too, all of those gray ones. We do tend to see them in their groups and in their herds because that's how wildebeest stay safe from predators. Just kind of finding that safety in numbers with each other. They actually migrate with about 1.5 million or so wildebeest at a time. They are some of the most densely populated mammals on the planet, second only to us humans. Springbok, on the other hand, that's going to be those little tan ones with the white underbellies. They're kind of all over the place right now. I actually go for more of an agility to keep safe. But they are pretty small, about 3 feet tall, but they are really, really fast. Around 55 miles per hour, and then they also jump around 6 feet straight up in the air or 13 feet across with a running start. And then super duper quick before getting into those giraffes. There's also a couple of Incolate cattle out there. That's all the ones that look like cows with those big wide horns up on their heads. Those horns are made up of a honeycomb-like structure, so they are basically hollow. Rarely light up there for them, and they've also got blood vessels in there that helps keep them a little bit cooler during the hotter parts of the day. And then all these giraffes out here are Maasai giraffes. Up to 20 feet tall, they are the tallest animal in the world. That height on them means they can reach food from the tallest of trees out on the savannah. They don't have to worry quite as much about competing for resources when most animals can't even reach the height those giraffes tend to eat from in the first place. And you probably saw some of them out there bending down a little bit lower to eat off bushes or grasses, drink water from puddles, anything like that. Giraffes have super flexible necks. Same amount of vertebrae in there as us humans and most mammals do, so 7 vertebrae in those long necks of theirs. Bigger than ours, of course, but also more spaced apart. And that extra spacing between them is one of the ways they keep those necks nice and flexible, so they can eat from up high, down low, wherever they want to, and most importantly, wherever it is they might end up needing to. Immediately in this next area, you can start seeing one of those elephants. She is right along the bush line down over there. There's actually going to be another one sort of right behind those big trees and bushes that you might see a little bit better as we loop around the corner. Now, African elephants are the largest land mammal on the planet. The oldest of males will be about 13,000 pounds large or so when fully grown. Those two there, as big as they are, is a pair of the females. So at their biggest, they'll be maybe 7,000 to 8,000 pounds. Still really, really big, of course. That's way bigger than what most of us probably see on a daily basis. But even these two here would seem kind of small compared to some of those boys out there. She's facing away too, but you might see her a little bit better than that first one. You see, she was sort of flopping her ears out there. She's probably trying to keep cool. It is very hot out, and it's only going to get hotter. So every little bit helps when it comes to fighting the heat. Elephants can actually lower their body temperature down about 15 degrees Fahrenheit, just flopping their ears like that. And it's like a big fan essentially just attached to their heads. Those ears are also pretty sensitive. That skin right at the end of those ears, as well as the end of their trunks, is pretty gentle. And it's the reason why a lot of elephants are sort of afraid of bees out in the wild. They'll stay pretty far from those extra painful bee stings themselves. But they also have a special noise they let out that warns any other elephants in the area to stay pretty far from there. We know that because of research that was done right here on the reserve with elephants, just like those we saw back there. We'll see if we can find any up ahead as well. And they have some pretty useful farmers that once had trouble with elephants breaking into their farms, and you can start seeing a couple peeking out there. Breaking into their farms, destroying crops, all of that. They can now set up beehives along their fence lines, keep those elephants away, and give those farmers an extra crop to profit from as well. So it really is a win-win all around that elephants and bees project. And this is going to be another herd of female elephants that we're seeing out over here. Not only smaller, but they're also more social. The boys are more solitary and will typically wander off once they're old enough to be independent. And then the girls are going to be those really social ones, the way you probably already associate with elephants. They'll stick in these groups and herds for their whole life and be led by a matriarch elephant. So usually the oldest of the bunch. She decides most things for them, from when and where they migrate, what watering holes they hang out by, even how they interact with each other or with any of those other elephant herds they come across. You'll see a little bit of that baby peeking out over there as we kind of move further forward. She's right between her mom's legs. You might have seen her as we took that turn. She's just kind of in a tricky spot right now, unfortunately. But we are also going to get way closer to those giraffes than we did earlier, so you'll see them kind of all along the bushes down past that big tree. Baby is actually in the mud right now. She wandered away from mom.
Yeah, baby.
Her mom there was pregnant for about 2 years. That is the average gestation period of an elephant, is about 22 months. And then those little ones are usually born somewhere between 200-300 pounds or so. And she is about 8 months old, so at this point I wouldn't be surprised if she's even doubled in size by now. So as tiny as she looks there, she really only looks that small when she's hanging out with those other elephants next to her. She'd probably already be pretty massive. As you kind of loop around this island out here, you'll see a whole bunch of greater flamingos out there. There's a couple of baby flamingos as well. If you see the gray ones, there's one in this corner of the island up front, then there's two down over here towards where we're driving. They're very big already. They are growing super duper fast, but they've still got those little baby feathers of theirs. Greater flamingos are the lightest pink of all flamingos, so the adults, you can see, really just have that light dusting of rose on most of their body. So as you can also see, they are still hatched that very grayish color, just like all flamingos are. Their coloring comes from their diet. So the brine shrimp bait has a beta-carotene in it, chemical that when they eat a whole lot of it, will kind of tint and dye their skin and feathers, that really famous thing of theirs. They are that lighter shade because of their size. They're also the biggest kind of flamingo. So by the time that chemical makes it through their whole body, just kind of dilutes it a little bit, and they end up that lighter shade of pink we saw back there. And as we enter the eastern part of the savannah, we will of course start seeing some of those white rhinos out there. We'll pull up a little closer to them here. White rhinos are about 5,000 pounds large, so they are pretty massive. They actually have the most stable of rhino populations, but they definitely still do face a lot of those same threats in poaching out in the wild as some of the other rhinos do. Mainly, rhinos are hunted down for their horns. Some people think those rhino horns have some sort of value to them, medicinal or otherwise. They're just made up of keratin, the same material as our hair and our fingernails, so they are basically worthless. Just kind of an extra sad reason to know that's why those animals are in so much danger out in the wild and out in their homes over. And actually, just right past the rhinos. There is a cheetah up there. There's actually a couple. Right at the very top of the hill. There's this one closer to us, and then kind of up in the shadows of the bushes, you can see when she's flicking her tail. So there's another one up there too. They're pretty beautiful cats, the cheetahs. Very, very impressive as well. They go about 0 to 60 in just 3 seconds, and have top speeds of around 72 miles per hour. They are the fastest animal on land. They can't keep that up for too long. They are built for those short sprints, so about a couple hundred yards at most. But still, going 72 miles an hour is impressive no matter how long you can keep it up for. Right in one of the rocks, you can start seeing one of those lions out there. One of the boys. There's actually also a couple more rhinos peeking out those bushes on the right too. So we've got some lions and some rhinos. It's actually 2 lions there. You can see the girl. She's right at the very edge of the rocks. That little strip of tan, there's her tail. Always pretty lucky to get to see those lions out here this time of day. Lions are nocturnal, so they're more active pretty late at night, early in the morning when just about everything else is fast asleep. Makes it easier to ambush their prey that way, but also their night vision is way better. Lions see about as well as we do during the day, but 6 times better than us at night. So it just makes more sense to go out when it's darker. The boys will sleep and rest about 20 hours a day. The girls slightly less, about 16, 18 hours. Still 9 times out of 10. If we are lucky enough to see a lion at all, they'll just be napping and resting, and often in those quieter, darker spots back there, so that was a really good view of them. There's actually also some warthogs around the corner here. At the very base of the hill, right in that corner, there's 3 laying down. They're kind of right on top of each other. They look like big, hairy rocks there. If you see their little tusks peeking out, they're actually made up of ivory, just like elephants. So actually, we are sitting down towards the back. Again, made up of the same material as elephant tusks, so a lot like the elephants. They are also at times poached out in the wild for that material. But they are really, really smart. So they'll actually adjust their schedules based off what they feel is safest for them. So if they encounter more poachers and predators during the day, they'll become nocturnal and vice versa. So really smart, really flexible, those warthogs. They definitely don't get enough credit most of the time. And we are just about done with our safari here. Just going to be driving past the warden's post on our way out. And the warden's been taking care of some little Nigerian dwarf goats lately. Let's see if they're out there. Yeah, there's a couple right on that front porch area. It's actually one in the very back of the truck too. They are very cute. They look a lot like baby goats, but all of those there are fully grown. That is about as big as a Nigerian dwarf goat's ever gonna get to be. There's gonna be just a couple more minutes here to pull up to one of those unloading docks where you can head on out to enjoy the rest of your day out here. When you get to see a lot of really beautiful animals today, which is always a treat. Not just because they are, of course, absolutely stunning, but also because so many of them are endangered out in the wild, so it's nice to see them while they're still around and while we still can. Although just because they're endangered doesn't mean we should give up on them completely, of course. We can all do our part to help keep those animals safe and on our planet for as long as possible. Whether that's contributing to conservation funds that helps them out in the wild, or looking into ways to make our homes and lifestyles a little more sustainable for those animals, for our planet, and for ourselves as well. Of course, it is our planet too, after all. If I have any wilderness explorers on board today, you happen on the Simba 1. That'll be on pages 14 and 15 of that Wilderness Explorer booklet for you. When you exit, you'll find yourself kind of at the bottom of a little hill area, and hanging around there somewhere should be someone wearing all green. And they'll be the ones that have that badge for you. And we're going to be pulling up to that second dock up ahead here, so it shouldn't be too much longer. If you haven't already, now is a good time to double check those roads. Make sure you have everything you brought on board with you today. I would double check pockets on yourself or on your bag just to make sure nothing tumbled out during the bumpier parts of the reserve or anything like that. And now here in Harambe, we like to say Kwaherini. That is Swahili for goodbye, so Kwaherini everyone. Once again, my name is Sebastian. If anyone has any lingering questions or just wants to say hi, my window is always open. But if not, Kwaherini, hope you all enjoy the rest of your day out here, wherever that might take you. Now watch your hands, arms, legs, and feet. Doors are opening on the right. And watch.
it going, isn't it? That?
What, the backwards bit? Good that. Yeah, I love that. Well good.